In Venezuelan citizens participated in the Great National Consultation called Communes Can Do More, with the objective of defining popular projects for the communities. In Ecuador, early polls show President Daniel Noboa's proposals on Sunday referendum were rejected. In Israel, military intelligence chief Aharon Haliba resigned due to his responsibility in the regime's failure before the Palestinian resistance operation Al-Aqsa flood. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news, and we do so in Venezuela. People participating in the Great National Consultation called Communes Can Do More, with the objective of defining by vote the election of priority popular projects for the communities. 15,617 voting centers were set up in the 23 states of the South American nation for this day of voting. In this consultation called by President Nicolás Maduro participated all Venezuelans, men and women over 15 years of age. Citizens chose among nearly 23,000 social projects proposed by the more than 4,500 communes located in the national territory. These projects are aimed at sectors such as health, education, food, security, environment, public services, and economy. The elected ones will be financed by the government and executed by the organized communities themselves. In Venezuela, the spokesperson of the Electoral Commission, Carolina Arellano, made statements regarding the referendum that took place on Sunday in the country.
As we said before, this is an unprecedented process for the people's power, whether it be the communal councils or the communes as such that make up electoral districts. This is a civic demonstration of participatory democracy, as we have always done it based on Article 5 of the Venezuelan Bolivarian Constitution, which stipulates that the will of the people is binding. And also in keeping with Article 70, which regulates these kinds of events.
Likewise, the spokeswoman of the Electoral Commission expressed that since early in the morning citizens came out to vote, expressing their democratic right.
We have seen the media coverage of this referendum, young and old people queuing up since early in the morning. This has been one more instance of civism, as it has been the norm in Venezuela's participatory democracy. We are used to holding referendums, and this one, organized with the support of the people's power, has been a joyful, successful event.
Moving on to Ecuador, proposals of President Daniel Noboa, according to the number out of the poll stations, lose on the central questions of his referendum. Let's remember that the referendum has the goal of approving or rejecting popular consultation initiative promoted by the executive on security, labor, and international arbitration issues. The first results show that citizens rejected by a wide margin proposals to recognize international arbitration for investment disputes and to introduce fixed-term and hourly employment contracts. Both the proposals were on the spotlight of Noboa's administration. Earlier, Diana Atamain, head of the National Electoral Council, declared that at the end of this day, 78% of citizens participated in the electoral exercise.
In the midst of its worst energy crisis, a marked economic recession, and the highest homicide rate in Latin America, Ecuador goes to the polls this Sunday, April 21st. President Daniel Noboa promotes a referendum that, according to his promises, will allow the construction of a new country.
Today, criminal organizations and corruption are trying to put obstacles in our way. But we are going to get out of this with strength and with our best weapon, which is our vote. We are going to promote the referendum this Sunday.
There are 11 questions, most of them related to security, such as the role of the armed forces in the fight against organized crime and the increase of penalties for serious crimes.
Traditionally, consultations have been used to validate presidential positions, but many of them are anchor questions. What are the anchor questions? Something that no one could say no to, and then, taking hold of that anchor question, making a campaign to vote in favor of the other presidential intentions or pretensions. Although it worked for Lenin Moreno with the 7 times yes, at the time, for Guillermo Lasso, when he proposed his popular consultation, he did it in a way that generated complete rejection from the population.
Some consider that the electoral process has been used by the president to legitimize the role of the U.S. Southern Command in the alleged fight against organized crime, the presence of the military on the streets, and to justify the abuses of the armed forces, as denounced by human rights organizations.
We are not talking about assistance, we are talking about forms of government, about control of prisons or the streets. We have painfully seen summary executions in the country. We have seen a young man who goes out to sell a puppy and is executed without any process.
Moreover, unions denounce that behind the security questions, there are other core questions that jeopardize workers' rights.
Vacation, subsidies, and overtime rights are eliminated. Workers under this type of contract will have to be available 100% of the time, hoping that there will be a contract for 2, 3, 4 hours of work.
Another question that does not convince progressive groups is that of international arbitration for investments.
Article 422 that they want to amend in this referendum prohibits the Ecuadorian state from submitting to international arbitration and yielding sovereignty. In the annex to question D, the article is completely changed, and the state is completely exposed to international arbitrations. Gentlemen, out of every 10 arbitrations, the state loses 7, the other 3 never wins. It only reaches judicial or extrajudicial agreements before the respective award. In all of them it has to pay.
13.6 million Ecuadorians are called to the polls to express their support or rejection to this electoral initiative proposed by a president whose approval, according to several polls, in March reached almost 80%, but who has now faced a strong rejection after decisions such as those of assaulting the Mexican embassy in Quito and the blackouts of more than 8 hours a day. The truth is that Noboa is risking a great part of his political capital this Sunday. Elena Rodriguez, teleSUR, Ecuador.
In Ecuador on Sunday, Damian Parrales was assassinated. He was director of the Manabi 4 Detention Center, also known as El Rodeo, just 5 days after taking office and during the development of the National Consultation. In this way, local media reported that Parrales was killed by hired assassins while he was with his family in a local restaurant in the province of Manabi. On the other hand, the police and armed forces deployed in the area confirmed that the assassins apparently arrived on a motorcycle. This crime occurs despite the fact that the authorities informed that about 100,000 troops were in charge of guaranteeing security on Sunday's voting day. In Haiti, several social movements demonstrated against the increase in violence that plagues the country. The Committed Youth Movement of Haiti called for a mobilization to demand the non-installation of the Presidential Transition Council. The head of the organization made a call for unity for the sectors of national life. In this sense, he added that the installation of the members of the Presidential Council will cost the resources of the state without seeing results against violence. This is an opportunity for youth organizations and to make a call for an uprising against insecurity, impunity, and corruption of the system. We're going to take a short break now, but remember you can join us on our TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats. More coming up after a short break. Welcome back. Israel's chief of military intelligence resigned this Monday due to responsibility in Tel Aviv's failure before the Palestinian resistance operation Al-Aqsa flood. The Israel Defense Forces reported in a statement that the Major General Aharon Haliva has asked to step down from his post, holding himself responsible for military inaction that did not prevent the incursion of the Al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas. This will be the first resignation of an Israeli political or military official since then, in what was the biggest breach of Israel's security since its founding in 1948. According to a poll published last week, 62% of the Israeli population believe that it is time for those responsible for the October 7 failures to resign. In the Gaza Strip, rescue teams have recovered 210 bodies after the Israeli occupation forces left the southern city of Han Yunis. Civil defense officials said the bodies, mostly women and children, were found in a mass grave near the Nasser hospital, and it is presumed they were victims of massacre perpetrated by Israeli troops. The agency said that so far 2,000 Palestinians have been reported missing who may have been killed and buried or kidnapped by the occupation. Since the start of the Israeli siege on October 7th, over 34,000 people have been killed and 76,000 wounded, while thousands of the victims still remain under the rubble. In Morocco, hundreds of activists protested in front of the U.S. Consul General in Casablanca to express their solidarity with the Palestinian people. Participants raised Palestinian flags and banners denouncing the crimes committed by the Israeli occupation. Protesters urged the international community for pressing the occupation forces to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and opening the border crossings for humanitarian aid. In turn, activists called on the Moroccan kingdom to break off relations with Israel.
We think this genocide is a direct aftermath of the assistance the U.S. government has been providing for years to the Zionist entity. Here, we are witnessing a crystal-clear complicity in what the White House supplies in terms of logistics, funding, vetoes, military, and espionage to the Zionist entity.
Thousands of people went out in the streets to express their support to the Palestinian people in the face of the crimes executed by Israel since October 7th. With Palestinian flags and banners, the French citizens demanded a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, where more than 34,000 people have died, mostly women and children. France is one of the many countries that have expressed their rejection of Tel Aviv's terrorist acts against Palestine. Meanwhile, in Germany, citizens took to the streets of Berlin to reject the supply of arms to Israel. Demonstrators called to stop arming Tel Aviv to defend the future of Palestinian children and youth. Despite the peaceful nature of the mobilization, the media denounced that the German security forces carried out actions to repress and arrest demonstrators. In the United States, pro-Palestinian activists rallied outside the Capitol in Washington, D.C. to demand that lawmakers not send additional funds to Israel. Waving Palestinian flags, they demanded that the government stop its complicity with the genocide perpetrated in the Gaza Strip. In this context, it is worth noting that more than 40 Democrat representatives voted against the delivery of $26 billion to Israel. They stated that their votes were against the supply of offensive weapons that could result in more killings of civilians in Rafah and elsewhere.
We've tried very, very hard, again, been coming here every day for 3 months now, trying to lobby against it, fight against it, and we managed to delay it for a long time, but today they're going to be voting on it to send more weapons to Israel, which is currently committing a genocide in Gaza.
The Palestinian government criticized the U.S. economic aid bill for Israel and labeled it as an aggression against the Palestinian people. The Palestinian presidential spokesperson Nabil Abu Rudeina deemed that the economic package of billions of dollars for the Israeli armed forces questions Washington's credibility. In that sense, the authority underscored that while the United States provides military support to Israel, the Zionist army continues its aggression against the Gaza Strip. On the other hand, Washington issued a veto on the entry of Palestine as a full member of the United Nations Security Council, in response to which the Palestinian president described the decision as shameful, irresponsible, and unjustified. In this context, on Saturday, the U.S. House of Representatives approved a foreign aid package of more than $95 billion for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. According to local sources, $61 billion from the fund will be sent to Ukraine, while Israel will receive $26.4 billion and Taiwan $8.1 billion. The bill, voted mostly in favor by the Republican representative, is awaiting approval by the U.S. Senate and then to be signed into law by President Joe Biden. In the preceding month, House Speaker Mike Johnson continually refused to put aid to Ukraine to a vote. However, Iran's response to Israel last Saturday served as an excuse to at least move forward with the aid to the Hebrew country, the main U.S. ally in the Middle East. We want to take a final short break, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code that is on screen to join our community to stay up to date on all the information in the Caribbean and Latin American and the world. More coming up after a short break. Welcome back. The president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, arrived in Pakistan for a meeting with the Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, within a framework of official visit aimed at promoting security and trade ties. Raisi and Sharif held a private meeting after the Iranian president's arrival in Islamabad. The two sides will discuss a broad agenda to strengthen bilateral ties and boost cooperation in various areas such as trade, connectivity, energy, agriculture, and people-to-people contacts. Prior to his arrival, the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran stressed that the two neighboring countries intend to increase the value of their trade and economic exchanges to $10 billion, given their great capacities. Leading a high-ranking political-economic delegation, the two-stage visit will also take the Iranian president to Sri Lanka, where he will place special emphasis on trade and economic issues. In Burundi, citizens continue to cope with the effects of flood, which have left thousands of people evacuated and property damaged. Floodwater of Lake Tanganyika overwhelmed the port of Bujumbura, the economic capital of Burundi. According to the United Nations, since September, more than 200,000 people have been affected in the country, while some 19,000 houses have been destroyed. Climate experts say that the weather phenomena in Burundi and other countries in the area are part of the extreme conditions related to the El Niño weather pattern. Meanwhile, in China, authorities reported 11 people missing in the southern province of Canton following heavy floods. The Provincial Department of Emergency Management added that a total of 53,741 people were relocated, of which 12,256 had to be urgently resettled. The agency also confirmed that the 3 people were found dead in the city of Sakin, one of the areas with the highest level of damage caused by rainfall. Local authorities urged the public to cut off power supply in high-risk areas as well as to suspend outdoor activities and events. In Spain, authorities have announced official results on Sunday's general elections held in the Basque Country Autonomous Community. The Basque Nationalist Party won, and now they have as many seats in parliament as the Bildu Party, that is 27. The Spanish Socialist Party won 2 more seats for a total of 12, and the Popular Party got 7 seats. Also, the candidate representing Vox got re-elected, and the Sumar Party got 1 seat. Thus, the Socialist Party has become the 3rd leading political force in the Basque Country. Sunday's election had a 51% turnout. And with less than 100 days to go until the start of the Olympic Games in Paris on Sunday, World Athletic legend Carl Lewis says he believes it will be a fabulous venue.
Oh, first of all, I think Paris can be fabulous, incredible. It's a wonderful country. It's a beautiful city, and I know they're going to integrate the culture and the ideas. And being the 100th anniversary, I think it's going to be an absolute fabulous Olympics.
Olympic champion Perez Gilshir won the women's London Marathon on Sunday in a world record time of 2 hours, 16 minutes, 16 seconds for an all-female race. In this sense, the 30-year-old Kenyan beat the women's record of 2 hours 16 minutes 17 seconds set by her teammate Mary Keitany in 2017. For her part, Yipchirchir stated that she is very satisfied with the result achieved in her first race of the current year and assured that she is fully motivated and focused on the Olympic Games to be held in Paris.
Hi Jocelyn, how are you?
I'm feeling good. This was the last race for Kenya to select team for Olympics. So I was trying to work extra hard to defend my title in Olympics. Yeah.
Like this, we have come to the end of our news brief. Remember, you can find more news on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social medias on Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, and X. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.